This is the second part of a two-parter. The first part is now in your Ebscohost and SIRS database section of the research paper module, and it's labeled Using My Sources and SIRS, a screencast. I recommend that you watch it before you watch this. In the meantime, since you're here, start out by having your module pulled up for the research paper and a separate tab for research paper stuff that should be your Google Drive. And you need to have had a folder created in it, and you can do that by clicking New and Folder, label it Research Paper Stuff or something like that. And also make sure that you have a Google Doc that is labeled Works Cited so that we can access very easily. In fact, I'm going to go on ahead and pull up that working Works Cited page as a tab itself. It will just make some things easier later in this screencast. So what we're going to look at this time is Ebscohost, and I'm going to take you through a fairly elaborate way of doing Ebscohost. There's an easier way, but for most people it's less fruitful. So you probably saw what I just did. You needed to click A to Z Databases, Ebscohost. I think, in fact, I'd better go back and show that again. I was being in far too much of a hurry. So in the research paper module, now you see the link to A to Z Databases, and click it, and you'll eventually get here. And I'm going to ask you to go in through Academic Search Complete, which is the third of the databases. And it will bring you to a basic search screen. Now, up here above the search box in the center of your screen, you'll see something that's called Choose Databases. And I'm going to take you through a process of choosing databases. Now, at the end of this, I'll show you something that you can do so that you won't ever have to do this elaborate choosing of databases again. But just bear with me for the moment because it seems to help people find their sources better. So everybody needs Academic Search Complete, Academic Search Premier, Moz Ultra, Master File Complete, Master File Premier. I also think that pretty much most people could use Business Source Complete and the ebook collections and Newspaper Source. And I would also recommend, as you scroll down, Topic Search and Regional Business News. So those are probably things that no matter what your topic, you should do. So I'll show you those again. Academic Search Complete and Premier, Business Source, the 3 ebook collections, Moz Ultra, Master File Complete, Master File Premier, Newspaper Source, Regional Business News, and Topic Search. By the way, for some kinds of research papers, your instructors would probably warn you off of using Newspaper Source. They would say, don't use newspapers in a research paper. But for this particular paper, a newspaper might work because we're looking for examples from other states or from this state of projects like the project you're advocating for. So newspapers might work for that. Now, depending on your topic, you may be choosing some other things to go along with these. So, for instance, if you're choosing any kind of health-related topic, you might want to add Alt Health Watch and Consumer Health Complete. And I probably wouldn't do Health Source Nursing Academic Edition. Frankly, it tends to be over my head and seems to be the students react the same way. You might choose Sociology because there is a social side to health. And depending on what kind of health you're talking about, maybe by psychology and behavioral sciences. Now, if you are doing education, you would want to choose several educational sources. Education Full Text and ERIC, but not Educational Administration abstracts. An abstract is just a summary of a source. It's not the source itself. So you don't want to use any abstracts, any book reviews, or any movie reviews as sources. those things don't work. So yeah, abstracts, book reviews, movie reviews, don't use them. But going on again with education, you might also choose professional development collection, that's for teachers, and education, and teacher reference center. And if you're writing a paper specifically about vocational education, you could choose this. If you're doing a paper on mental health issues, especially if they're set in schools, if your solution's set in the schools, then you would probably want to choose all the mental health stuff and health stuff and all of the education stuff as well. If you're talking about law, you might want to click legal collection. And so those are all the things that most people would ever need. However, there are some possibilities if you are doing anything environmental. Environment Complete, Garden, Landscape, and Horticulture Index, both of those might be important. Some kinds of business research papers, depending on what kind of business it is, it might involve Hospitality and Tourism Complete, could possibly involve Research Starters Business. So at any rate, there are a lot of possibilities here. I'm just going to leave most of these checked and click OK. So there are only two other adjustments that I want you to make here. Click Full Text, because otherwise you might get abstracts, and that's a waste of your time. And also, fix your publish date so that it's the last 5 years. So I'm doing this in 2018, so it's going to be 2013 to 2018. And now we can begin playing with research. So I'm just going to experiment here with high school dropout. And notice that Ebscohost helps you sometimes. You see they've got a lot of alternatives. I'm going to choose high school dropout prevention and click search. And so here is your collection of potential sources. And it looks like there are 84, so that's enough for me to play with for a while. If I didn't have many, then I might back up and take out the word prevention. I could also narrow it by saying high school dropouts Mississippi. But remember that you're not searching for only things about Mississippi, but you can look for things from other states as long as it's reasonable to believe that we could adapt those ideas. So if you've got your statistics for the state from other places, then you might broaden your search beyond Mississippi. If you have any questions about that, whether your search should be broadened or narrowed, ask me. So I'm going to play with this just to show you what you'll need to do to collect the 3 things that you need for each source that you're going to use. And one, of course, is the article itself, and one is the MLA citation. And the other is that you kind of want to be sure that you have the permalink. The MLA citation should have the correct link in it, but because I'm getting a little older and getting a little paranoid, I think I would have both of those things. Okay. In the meantime, before we get into that, here's what I promised you earlier. You don't have to pick out all those databases again if you remember to go to this Share button. And you can see here it says Use Permalink. So if you take this permalink and copy it and just dump it for the moment onto your Works Cited page. Of course, it won't be there in the end when you, when you give me your Works Cited page. But this crazy looking link will actually take you back to that exact search. So that's how you save yourself the trouble of refining that whole search topic again. Let's say we're here and we look at an article and we decide we want it. Now, the article, you can read it down here. Okay. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes there will be a link to the article here in this upper part of the screen, especially if it's coming from Eric. But if we're looking here, then there's some things you want to notice. First, on the left-hand side of the screen, you've got a couple of options, and one of them is for the PDF full text. So if you have the option to use the PDF version of your article, that's what you want to save, because that has the original page numbering, the original graphics. It's an image of the original article. So I'm going to pull it up and show you. Here's the article. Okay. Let's say that you decided that that's what you wanted. Up here in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a download button. If you don't see it immediately, put your cursor up in this part of the screen and it will probably appear. Let's see, who wrote this? Sarah Sparks, Neglected Population. So I'm going to download it and I'm going to put it in my Documents folder. Sparks. I do like to capitalize. Sarah, Neglected Population. Give at least part of the title so that I'll remember what that is. And save it. Okay. And then I'm going to go to my Research Paper Stuff tab. Go to New, File Upload, and Documents. Ah, here it is. Double click and it will appear in a moment. There it is. Yeah, and you can see. I'm going to open it just to test it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Remember, you want the full article because you are going to give me the page from it that you have cited something from. Okay. So in the meantime, we also need the Works Cited entry. And I'm going to scoot this screen over just a little bit so that you can see the right-hand side of the screen. And I'm going to back click, or I'm going to go back a step. And here we are back with that page that gave us the information about it. You can see on the right-hand side something that says Cite. You click it, and you'll see that it's presented in a lot of different citation formats. Scroll down and get MLA. Don't copy the words Works Cited, but just the entry. Control-C to copy. Back here, Control-V to paste. And again, because I'm just a little nervous, being older, it's got me that way. I think I'm also going to look down here for the permalink. And when you click that, it shows up above the title. Now, Ebscohost is different from SIRS in that the title, that the address that's in the web address box, it just won't get you back to the article, which is bizarre, but it's true. Don't know why. So let's move the screen just a little more again, and I'm going to copy and paste that permalink. That will probably be removed if we can confirm that this thing will take us back to the article. But right now I'm just a little nervous, so I'm going to keep it too. So we've got our article, we've got our Works Cited information, we've even got the permalink. And I think that means we're pretty good as far as using Ebscohost. Remember that you can ask me for help refining your search. You can ask the folks in the library. Literally, the librarians can help you search. You can also ask the folks at the Writing Center. Ms. Fothery and Dr. Gutenson are both pretty familiar with this assignment. So anyway, don't get stuck and just become frustrated and say, I'm just not going to think about it anymore. If you get stuck, come and seek help from someplace, from one of the places I just mentioned. Alright, so that's it for now, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off.